So welcome to this session, and the theme of this class is to do with strengthening your hips, and we do that through a series of isometric exercises. But importantly, we'll start with some breathing in a seated position, and this is called three-part breathing. And I'll just take a seat on my mat now. You can see in the background I've got a few yoga props. There's my chair and some blocks and a belt and a bolster and like that, and a wall space. The breathing that I'd like to emphasize today is called three-part breathing. So get a comfortable seat. Just make sure that you've got a little bit of support underneath your hips if you need to sit up straighter. And we'll start with just having your hands onto your lower abdomen. And the three parts are that area of the abdominal area. So if you take a breath in and just inflate the abdomen a little bit, you can feel where that's located. And then sliding your hands up to the diaphragm, you can take a breath there and feel the diaphragmatic band expand in all directions, front, back, and sides. And then if you bring the tips of your fingers right up to your collarbones and draw the breath all the way to just above the collarbones if you can, then that's the third part of three-part breathing. So you don't need your hands there. You can just rest your hands onto your legs or in your lap. And if it's comfortable for you, close your eyes. And then see if you can locate those parts with a long inhalation, so continuous inhalation, inhaling from the bottom of your torso, mid-torso, and all the way to the top, and exhaling from the top to the bottom. Take a few breaths like that, not going to your maximum, but just exploring what your breath rhythm is like at the moment, today, at this time. Relax your shoulders and relax your facial muscles. Notice if there's tension in any other part of your body. Sometimes the legs have tightened up, or the groins, pelvic floor. And sitting comfortably upright but not uptight. And we'll just take maybe 2 more minutes of this type of breathing. Like to think of the shape of the torso being, which it is to some extent, like a cylinder. And when you breathe in, the breath touches all sides of that cylinder shape. And exhaling, releasing. And perhaps now just do 3 more rounds. Eyes are still relaxed. This is a good way to begin a yoga session, connecting with your breath. And after this last round of the 3-part breathing, let's just, if your eyes closed, open them gently and move on to your mat in a lying down position on your back with your legs bent and your feet on the floor. I have my yoga strap next to me because I will be using that soon. Bend your knees into your chest, hold it at the front of your knees, and then make some tiny circles with your knees. That movement reflected in the back of your pelvis, at the base of your spine where your sacrum is. And then go the other way. And now when you pause, leave your hands right at the front of your knees and then push away your knees at the same time as you're pressing them into your palms. And then release from that effort. And go again. So pressing against the resistance of your hands, pressing out. Feel your core muscles maybe engage here. And then release. And third time, and pressing in. Maybe feel that even in the outer hips, the outer thigh muscles. Lovely. And then release your feet back to the floor. And we're going to work on just your right leg. Bend your right knee into your chest. And if you cup your hands around the front of your right knee, then see what it's like to circle that knee and hip. And just explore that movement, which is a nice way to lubricate the hip joint. And then go the other way. That's good. And then slip your hands around the back of the right leg, just around the back of the knee, and draw the knee in a little bit closer to you and slightly to the right side of your chest. And then extend that leg up towards the ceiling and bring it back down. Make the movement as graceful as you can, and all we're doing is alternately flexing and extending and warming up that knee and hip joint. Bring your right hand on the inside of your right knee and press your knee into your hand. Your knee pressing into your right hand on the inside of your right knee, and then let that go. So these isometric movements are really good at maintaining your hip health, and particularly your strength. And then release. And one more time, pressing in and releasing. And then let's explore what it feels like if you place your right hand on the outside of your right knee and press into your palm once again and let it go. Keep your throat relaxed and your face relaxed. Press into your hand. Feel the muscles switch on and then release. And then I've lost count, but one more time anyway, and pressing into your hand. Good. Let's extend the left leg out, if that's comfortable on your back. Left leg is extended along the floor. Right leg is still bent. Now, drop your right arm to the right side, right alongside your body. Reach the left hand to the outside of the right knee, because you're going to bring that leg across your body towards the left side. So as you bring that leg across, is it possible, you're not going to go too far this way, to keep the right buttock on the floor? So you're getting a rotation in the hip, And then work with resistance again. And what does that feel like to press against your hand? Keep your throat relaxed, your top chest. Good. And then bring the leg back to middle position. And let's take the belt and place it around your right foot and extend your right leg up towards the ceiling. So in your leg extension, we won't hold it as a static stretch, but just work with a little flexion and then a lot of pressing up through the sole of your right foot into the strap. Bending down and straightening up. Bending a little and pushing up very strongly against this resistance now, against the resistance of the belt. And one more time. And keeping the leg straight at this moment, notice if you've got a kind of white knuckle grip onto the belt and release some of that tension. I think it would be a lovely movement again to circle the leg and into the hip socket. So let's do that to whatever extent that might feel like a healthy and even pleasant movement into the hip joint. If you notice that the hip protests, just keep the leg extended. If you're getting a kind of clicking or clunking, make the movement very small. Let's go the other way. Good. And then pause in the middle. And let's just take a moment to circle your foot. Just really nice thing to do to warm up the ankle and the foot bones and the toe bones. Pass the belt just into your right hand. Hold the right hand onto the belt and the left arm drop it to the left side. Let's go out to the right. So extending the leg out to the right side, but at the same time keep the left side firmly grounded. And then even here, see if you can resist, like your leg wants to go to the right, but you're saying, no, you can't do that. So resisting against the tendency to drop the leg to the right. Keep the left leg engaged. You can switch on those thigh muscles and hold the left hip firm. Bring that leg all the way up and then do a crossover to the left side. Drop your right arm to the right. And same thing here. Instead of taking the leg all the way into a twist down towards the floor, just keep the right buttock on the floor, the back of your pelvis. And then same thing, see if you can resist taking the leg any further. Switch on your thigh muscles, switch on the outer hip muscles. Good, and then bring that leg back to the center. And then from here, let's do a flexion movement for your hip. Bend your right knee towards your chest. I'm still holding my strap and walk up my hands closer to my foot. I'm going to bring my right knee towards my right armpit. When I do that, the knee clears the right side of my chest a little bit. And if you can look at my right shin, it's perpendicular to the floor. And the sole of my foot facing the ceiling. And some people have dubbed this the happy baby pose. So we're doing half happy baby pose. All right, and then we're going to keep the leg bent like that. Bend your left leg too, and place your left foot on the floor near to your left buttock. Bring your right foot onto your left thigh, and when you do that, it's kind of a lotus type movement. Your right foot in the middle of your left thigh, and your right knee out to the right side. That's the first part, the first stage. And you could stay there, but if we want to do a little bit more flexion, we're going to lift the left foot off the floor and bring your left knee towards you. And just feel if that's a good movement for that right knee. It's compressing the knee, but see if that's right for your body. And then I can reach up here and hold the front of my left shin. And this one also has a nickname. It's called through the hole pose, because my right hand goes through that space between the legs. If you have to lift your head to do this, you could put a yoga block underneath the back of your head. All right, and then let's have both feet on the floor. And I'd like to stop and consolidate here and just feel what it feels like in the hip and that leg after you've done that work. So extend both legs out along the floor and take stock. What does that right hip feel like? The right leg, the right foot. I've noticed I have more external rotation on that side now. But whatever you're noticing is true for you. Let's begin again on the left side. So place your both feet onto the floor again. Bend up your left knee towards your chest, and then take a little while to circle that knee all by itself. And we go the other way. Maybe one way makes a better circle than the other. Why does that happen? Good. And then have your right hand on the left hand on the outside of your left knee, and then press into your left hand just gently. Feel the outer hip switch on if that's there for you. That's what I notice. And release. And pressing out again. So the knee really wants to go that way, but you're not letting it. And release. And third time, and pressure's on. And pressure's letting go. And then either one hand or the other. I've got my left hand on the inside of my left knee, and I'm trying to press in towards the right side. And then letting go. Pressure. And complete release. And third time, pressing in. We're using the inside thigh muscles to do that. And then release. And then switch hands. Left arm's at rest. Right hand reach across to the outside of your left knee. I think I'll extend my right leg out along the floor. That'll make a little bit more space for taking the left knee to the right side. And then resisting again, pressing back into your hand, let it go. And again. And let it go. I notice a difference between the way the two sides are able to work. This one has more tightness, and pressing and to your hand and let it go, and then back in the center position and grab your belt and belt up on your foot. And then this nice movement of bending, straightening. So keep it smooth. You don't want to snap lock your knee really at all in any of the yoga that we do. But here you might notice it more. So there's a little softness behind your knee and pushing up against the resistance of the belt. A lighter grip onto your hands. And then in the extended position, just do a few circles with your foot again. It might be in any of this work that you're doing, you're getting a little clicking. Sometimes that's a sign, maybe I'm going too much into it. And you can pull back at that point. And then from here, transfer the belt into your left hand, right arm out to the right side, and then let's track a little ways over to the left. And as soon as you start to come off the right buttock, press it back down. Imagine that you've got a gold coin underneath your right buttock, and you're just going to keep it hidden there by pressing down. And then reaching that left leg out, and then working against resistance. That has me switch on my glute med muscles on the outside of my hip. And then let's go in the opposite direction with the opposite hand, letting the leg track a little bit over to the right side, and then pressing back through the head of the thigh bone, the femur, back into its socket towards the floor. And I can feel that in my quadricep too. And then back to center, and we're going to bend that knee down. So let's transfer the belt back into your left hand. That might be easier. Right arm out to the right side. And then that left knee is going to come very close to my armpit, depending on your hip flexibility. And the sole of the left foot is facing the ceiling. Good. Keep the right leg engaged and stretch out. Might as well take advantage of another stretch there through the non-working leg. And then bend up that right leg. Place your right foot on the floor. Bring your left foot across to your right thigh. Place the spine of the left foot, the outer edge of the left foot onto your right thigh. And then see how you go here. I've got a little more work I can feel to lift my right foot off the floor. And you might do the through the hole bit and bring your hands through that space of the legs. And this side is much tighter in my left hip, so my right knee won't come in, and I'm not going to force it. Make sure that you're not trying to lift your head. Have some support for it if you need to. And then right foot back to the floor, left foot as well. Extend out the legs, and then just wait there. Just feel the body being idle for a moment, and the legs and feet may drop out more. And then just from your reclining position, lying all in one line, bring your turn your feet and be on the center of your heels. Separate your feet a little bit more, and then do a kind of windscreen wiper movement with your feet and your legs. So feet turn to the right and towards the floor, to the left, back and forth. Well, it's kind of a very different movement for your legs in the hip sockets. All right, and then we're going to move on. We're going to stay reclining, but now you'll need a bolster to rest your head on like a pillow, like a pillow, or a folded blanket might do the same thing. So this is the size that I'm using here to support my head. And I'm going to take a side-lying position on my left hip with my left side of my neck cradled onto the blanket. And my legs at a right angle. So right angle behind the knees, and your feet line up with your knees. Then bring your hands together. So your left hand rests on your right palm. And then bring the back of your left hand to your forehead as though you were doing a temperature reading in the old style when we did temperatures this way. And then do a rotation and roll your head away to the left side on your support, and then back to where you started, facing towards the right. And then rolling back. Just a little movement. And what you've begun to do, and you can probably sense and feel this for your neck and your dorsal thoracic, is give a little bit of exercise in that shoulder blade area where we tend to tighten up. And maybe we can do a little more here. So bring your hands back together and then lift your left hand off of your right hand and bring it up towards the ceiling. And as you do that, beginning to do that rotation a little bit more deeply to the left side. And then bringing the arm back and your hands joined once again. Let's go through that rotation really slowly and gently. And I find this really pleasurable, but if you're finding it a little uncomfortable, you might make the movement smaller or even slower than I'm going, which is very slow. Join your hands again, and you could practice circling your arm. So if I bring my left fingertips to my left shoulder, I can circle with my elbow. Or if you have enough flexibility and it feels like a nice movement for your shoulder, then you could make that a bigger movement with your arms straight. So making a larger circumference of that circle. And go one way and then go the other, whether your elbow's bent or it's straight. And then finishing with your hands joined. And we're ready for the second side. And this time, having switched, you're resting onto your left hip and cradling the left side of your neck and your head. Bend your knees, line your knees up so there's a right angle behind your knees. Extend out your left arm. Start with your right hand onto your left hand. And then bend your right elbow. Bring the back of your right hand onto your forehead and do your little rolls. As usual, I'm noticing the difference between my two sides. This one is more of a pleasant rotation because I'm less stiff on this side. And then two hands together, starting position, and then either the elbow bent and your fingers on your shoulder, or bringing that right arm straight up towards the ceiling, back behind you. You could follow your hand with a line of vision, so looking at your thumb or your fingertips and coming back and reaching up and over to that right side. On subsequent movements, you might get a little bit more movement, or if you've not noticed you've gone too far, then back off. All right, and I'm ready to circle my arm. So to whatever degree you want to do that, big circles or smaller circles. The elbow stays in a flex position, a little flexion there means that your arm is not rigid. There's a fluidity to what you're doing. All right, and then back to where your hands are joined. And we're going to do a little movement commonly called the clam. So you're in a good position to do this. Place your right hand on the top of your right hip. We're still resting on the left hip side. Join your feet together, so big toes touching, or the knuckle of the big toe, and your heels touching too. Then do a little lift and lift your right knee off your left knee and lifting up. My right hand resting on my right hip is reminding me not to move my hip, but see if I can keep the movement to my adductor muscles, the inside of my thighs, and the glute med muscles on the outside of the hip. This side is very tight for me, so it probably is a good exercise for me to do every day. But I've done the best I can there, and I'm ready to switch. And side lying on your right hip now. Left hand on the outside of the left hip. Feet are joined, and then opening and closing. You might find that you're really good in this position, that the muscles work to support the movement. But if you're struggling with it, notice if your shoulders have tensed up or your chest muscles. That means that you're recruiting muscles, not so much that they're needed. So keep those areas relaxed. Keep breathing. And then I think we'll halt there. And finally, getting out of our reclining position and just coming onto all fours. And looking a lot like cat-cow position. So before we move the spine too much, let's just come back to child's pose, but with your arms straight and your elbows lifted. So settle your hips back towards your heels to whatever degree that you can. You know, maybe your hips are not warmed up. I think they'd be pretty good to go here after our earlier exercises. But an unforced way, lowering your buttocks back towards your heels. Keep your chest up and look out towards your hands. And now we're going to roll forward and come into all fours kneeling. Lead with your chest, and then let's work through the spine and dip the spine a little bit. And then exhale and fold back to child's pose. Do that with your breath for several rounds. So what you're doing is, again, graceful, fluid, and with the rhythm of your breath. When you come forward, come a little forward of your hands with your chest. When you come back, allow the back to round. Next time you rock forward, then let's hold that cat-cow position and do go through the movements of the spine. So chest up, inhale, look out. Exhale, chin towards the jugular notch, round your back. The main emphasis is your breathing. And then pause in the middle. Let's call that neutral spine. And then we'll set a challenge. So without moving the hips, lift your right knee off the floor and bring the right thigh towards your chest. Then extend the leg back behind you. Without lifting your right hip, extend the leg. bring it in again. From flexion to extension, to whatever ability you can do this, then keep the hips relatively still. After this one, let's come to the middle position, pause, and starting all over again, left leg. So my breath pattern is exhale, bring the leg in, inhale, extend it out. So it's more noticeable as a leg movement, but it's definitely working with the whole spinal column, clear through to your neck. Last one, bring it in, bring it out. And I need to have a rest for my wrists. You might too. And buttocks back. Turn your hands upside down. Open all of your fingers and your thumbs and stretch them as much as you can. I'm quite supple in my hands generally. And I can bring my thumb all the way to the floor and keep the little finger down at the same time. I don't know if that's much of a talent. And then come back to all fours, kneeling. And we'll add the final challenge. If you find this is too much for you, then by all means do it as we've done before, just as a leg movement. But now we're going to go contralateral with leg and arm at the same time. So balance your weight on your right hand, left knee. Lift up your right knee towards your chest. Bring your left arm, left elbow towards your chest, and then extend them. Fold it in. Whoops. Talking and doing sometimes challenging. And last one, and back to neutral position. And ready for the second side. So as you've done before, left knee comes into your chest, right elbow comes in towards your ribs, and then opposite limbs extending and pulling into center. Feel your core. So the navel in towards the spine. And last one, and then both hands onto the floor. Allow the buttocks to drop back towards the heels. Turn your hands upside down again. Open your palms, stretch your palms open. Very good work. And from here, we're going to come into downward facing dog pose. At last, a dog pose. Tuck your toes under. Lift your hips. And straight. Instead of straightening your legs, keep your legs a little bit bent. And when you've done that, you can lift your hips a little higher. And what that does for you is it lets you stretch your shoulders a little bit more, which I'm enjoying very much at the moment. So heels up. You come onto the balls of your feet or even the backs of your toes. The hips are high and you're getting that tremendous stretch through your shoulders and your shoulder blades. Then lower your heels as much as you want or as much as you're able to, what feels good at the moment. And continuous stretch arms and legs and spine. And then folding down to the floor. And this time in child's pose, bring your elbows back towards your knees. Fold your hands. Maybe stack your hands one on top of the other in fists. And rest your head onto the top hand. And let any effort from any of the previous movements drop out of your shoulders. your shoulder blades, your neck. Just be supported. Let go to the support of the floor. All right, and then will you now come all the way up to standing? And in every session, I try to remember to add a balancing pose. And in this one, we'll do chair pose, including a balancing pose. So I'm just going to come onto the carpeted area here. So I've got a little bit more contact with the floor. That's always a good thing. And feel where you're standing on your own 2 feet. They're a little bit apart. And that your footprints are fully engaged. So the backs of the toes, the balls of the feet, the heel bones, the front of the heels, the back of the heels. Somehow that connection allows me to use my core muscles more. And then from there, we've got a good position to come into chair. Flex your knees and bring your arms up alongside your ears. And extend your arms out. Elbows straightening and reaching out. And then let's see what our balance is like at this moment today, and come up onto the balls of your feet. And from your chair position, we're going to straighten up, still on your toes, and all the way up. And arms come down, heels come down. Good. Let's do it again. And chair. Just give it a little bit more attention here. Draw your knees back. Draw your buttock bones back. And maybe even lift your tailbone. And then onto your toes. Especially on the inside of your toes, your big toe. And coming all the way up on your toes. And exhale down. And we can do one more of those. And chair. And reach back into your nice, comfortable but imaginary chair onto the balls of your feet. And up. And exhale down. Good work. Let's take a couple of standing poses now. Yes, Warrior One pose. So standing center of your mat, step right foot forward, step left foot back. And make sure that you've got a little space between the tops of your thighs. The more space you can take up that way, the better it is for your balance. And also for your lower back, so you're not squashing your sacrum. And then we know this movement well. We're going to bend the right leg into a lunge and raise the arms at the same time. Inhale your arms up. And exhale, arms come down, straight front leg. Let's go again. Inhale. And exhale. Third time, the arms come up. Bring the knee back a little bit. And then adjust your arms. If your shoulders are tight, keep your arms parallel or a little bit wider apart. But if you've got the flexibility, then bring your hands all the way together. Tilt your chin up and feel your footprints again, solid in your stance. And then chin down and arms down. And step up and change legs. And left leg is forward. Take pause, firm footprints. Inhale, arms up. Exhale, arms down, straight front leg. Go again. And down. And last time, and holding. And feel that back foot too. Press into that footprint. Tilt your chin up and lift up at the back of your skull. Look up at your thumbs. And exhale down. Good. Step right up. And from here, grab a chair. Which we'll use for the next standing pose, which is combining Warrior 1 and Warrior 3 pose. And we'll do a little warm-up for that. So standing in front of your, facing the seat of your chair, I've put it up against the wall so it doesn't slip. I'm going to do a forward bend and place my hands onto the seat of the chair. I've got a nice grip with my fingers around the outside of the chair, my thumbs on top. And if I step back a little bit, I'm in, half dog pose or half uttanasana. Bring your feet all the way together and then draw your shoulders back from your ears. Transfer your weight onto your left foot. Lift your right knee into your chest in flexion that we've been working on before. And then extend that leg right behind you. Right leg extended. Make sure that your right leg is up, but not your right hip. Roll your right hip down. Bring the leg in again and extend it back. And right in again. And then hold that leg up. Lift up a little bit more on the inside of your right leg, inside arch of your right foot. And then placing right foot next to its mate. Pause, consolidate. Make sure that your hips and your spine are even. And then flex that left leg. Bring it in, all the way in as much as you can. Extend it out. Point your toes. Lift up on the inside of the leg. Exhale in. Inhale out. These flexion movements are really good for your digestion and for elimination. And third time in and out. And when you bring your left foot down this time, take a little walk in and come up to standing. And as I said, let's combine those movements in a little vinyasa. So stand back about a meter from the chair. Bring your right foot forward, your left foot back. With your hands on your hips, take Warrior 1 pose. Bend your front knee. In a moment, you're going to do the one-legged balancing of Warrior 3 pose. So we want that front leg to be as strong as possible. So do a little waggle. If you rest your right hand onto your right thigh, just move your right thigh forward and sideways, right side, left side. Just give it a bit of a jiggle. So you can feel that that's not very stable or supported. So pause, press your right footprint, and then resist any movement, further movement for that right thigh. So feel those right thigh muscles engage. Bring your arms up as before. Inhale and looking up. And now you're going to look towards the chair and come into straight right leg and raise the left leg behind you. Hands go onto the seat of the chair. And coming forward and lifting that back leg. The arms are straight, your chest is open. And then bend your front leg. Look for the floor with your left foot. Come back to Warrior 1. Inhale. Exhale, bring your arms down by your side. That's one round. We're going to do 2 more. Inhale. The lunge. Exhale. Almost like a ballet arabesque. Lifting the back leg. Back to the lunge. Arms up. Exhale, arms down. Third time. Here we go. And then take it forward. Straight arms. Lift that leg. Straight leg. And back to lunge position. Arms down. Straight front leg. Good work. Left foot to right foot. Right foot back. It's a little aerobic. It's a good warming pose. And starting all over again, left leg forward, right leg back. Here we go to the lunge, warrior one. Here we go, coming forward. Reach for the chair, don't slip. And raise the right leg, chest up. Exhale, bend the front leg, look for the floor with your right foot. Lunge. Straight leg, arms down. And again. And coming forward, look where you're going, to the chair. Reach for the chair, raise that right leg, but not the right hip. Good, coming back. It's better if I don't talk. And straight legs and arms by your side. My balance is better, I should say. And then take warrior one. Look for warrior three. Bring the arms forward. Look for the seat of the chair. Lift your chest, lift your leg. And then releasing, front leg bends, right foot down. Inhale, arms up. Exhale, straight leg, arms down. Step up. Good. And then give your legs a little bit of shake out. All right, last of the standing poses is the forward fold, the asymmetrical one. And we're going to use the chair possibly. You might want to take it one step further and just come into a complete forward fold with your hands onto your front leg. But starting position, right leg forward, left leg back. And inhale, arms up. Palms face forward this time. And then take a bow and come forward. I'm going to place my hands, the flat of my palms, onto the seat of the chair. And in my forward bend, my arms are straight, my front leg straight, back leg straight. Flex your right knee a little bit. Inhale and reach for the ceiling. Exhale, your arms back down. If I want to go a little bit deeper, this time instead of reaching for the chair, I'll reach for my front leg. Inhale, arms up. Exhale, diving forward into forward fold, and then holding your right shin bone. In the last stage, releasing your head down. Bend your right knee a little bit, push into your footprint. Inhale, arms up. Exhale, arms down. Step up. And second side. First time I'll use the chair. So we got that as an example. Inhale, look up. Exhale, look out. And then finally down. Bend into your left foot. Inhale, arms up. Exhale, arms down. Inhale. I'm going to go all the way down this time. Bend your left knee before you come up. You don't want it straight. Inhale, arms up. Exhale, arms down. Step up. And very good work. And we're ready to lie down on the mat. Once again. So if you take your lying down position on your back, with your legs bent, your feet fairly close to your buttocks, let's take this as a little series of bridge poses. So keeping the theme of being a little bit more dynamic. We'll just start with a simple movement. Lift your shoulders up towards your ears and shrug your shoulders like that as much as you can. And then as you lower your shoulders, turn your palms up towards the ceiling. Roll your arms out. Do that again, so palms down, draw your shoulders up towards your ears and squeeze. And then release entirely and turn your palms up towards the ceiling. So feel that connection. Do that a couple of more times. Sort of own the movement for your body so that you can feel the relationship with your arms and what happens in your back and your shoulder blades. And we're going to incorporate this now into your little bridges and start with your palms down. You're going to lift your hips gradually, and as you do that, turn your palms up towards the ceiling. Press your footprints, start to lift off, turn your palms up towards the ceiling, roll your arms out right at the top, roll your shoulders out. Now you're at your highest point perhaps, and then turn your palms down, draw your shoulder blades down, and come down until you're resting on your buttocks again. Let's go that whole series of movements. Buttocks lift up at the same time as you externally rotate your arms and right up to the tops of your shoulders if you can, and then internally rotating them. Press down a little bit through your hands as you lower back to starting position. And one more time. And coming up. See if you can keep the lift more, not so much from your pubic bone, but from the outside of your hips. And exhale down. Good. Hold it there. Just to give your toes a little bit more exercise, lift your heels and slide your toes in a little closer to your buttocks. The next time that you do the bridge, take your arms overhead and you'll be on the backs of your toes as you come up this time. Inhale your arms up. Keep your weight on the inside of your feet, the big toe side of your feet, and exhale down. We're not rotating the arms so much as extending at the highest point, and then beginning to lower the arms at the same rate as you're lowering your spine. Good. And then hold it right there. Let's pause for a moment, and in just a moment here, we're going to we'll do a counter pose. So lie on your belly. You've been working a lot with your leg muscles and your hip muscles. So lie on face down and fold your arms and rest your head onto your onto the tops of your hands. We can do a stretch for the front of your thighs in this position, and you're well supported to do it. It's a quadricep stretch. So bend your left leg and draw your heel in close to the outside of your left buttock. From here, and still just resting your head onto your hands or your chin onto your right hand, bending your left leg in, hold at the front of your ankle. So left hand holding at the front of your ankle, and then stretch your left thigh away from you. See how much you can stretch your left thigh from the hip to the knee. And the shoulder comes back a little bit to be able to do that. And pressing your left foot into your left hand. Good. And then release. And then let's switch sides. And support yourself onto your left arm. And bend your right leg in so your right heel is close to your right buttock. The outside of your right buttock. Reach right back. And you can always just grab your foot with a belt if your arm extension doesn't work for you this way. and then pressing into your right foot into your right hand. Feel the right thigh lengthening from hip to knee. Stretch it as much as you can. So your muscles work antagonistically. So the more that you stretch the front of your right thigh here, which is a lovely movement, the more that you're strengthening your hamstrings at the back of the thigh. And then let that go. And we're going to come on to child's pose, but slowly from the back bend. And take whatever version of child's pose here you prefer. And just a moment to let the back ease and the shoulders relax. I think we'll do some seated poses just to round off the session where we've worked so hard on the legs, but not abandoning that work on the legs, but just from the seated position. Let's do this without any support underneath your hips. Often we sit with that support so we can sit up straight. But now we're going to try to use the leg muscles to help us sit up straight. So take a position where your legs are bent and you're both feet on the floor. Move your feet a little bit away from you so you're not having straight legs, slightly bent. And then bring your hands back behind you. That's always a good approach to helping you lift and elongate your spine. But also it helps to be on the front of your sitting bones. So as you push into your hands, see if you can roll over the buttocks towards the front of the sitting bones. And then to encourage that a little bit more, imagine that you're trying to lift your feet and your legs off the floor. I don't know how that's going for you, but I'm not anywhere near being able to lift them. Let's try that from a different position. So take the legs out wide into the splits. Flex your feet, extend out through the backs of the legs. And then I was saying earlier not to snap lock your knees. So even if you could extend your legs fully, keep a little softness at the back of your knees. That might not be a problem if your legs are very tight, your hamstrings are tight, your knees will automatically be bent. So without the support of your hands this time, rest your hands onto your legs. See if you can sit up straight from the base of your spine, and then imagine that you're lifting your legs again. We're just trying to encourage a little bit more forward pelvic tilt through that movement of using your leg muscles for support. Pressing your heels down as though you're trying to lift your lower leg, your upper leg. And then finally, let's take Baddha Konasana and bring the soles of your feet together. You can do this either way. Usually what we do when we're sitting like this is we cup our hands around the outside of your feet. See, rather, maybe you hold the outside of your shin bones, thumb is on top still, and then pull up with that lifting of the side body, lifting of the spinal column, pulling up on your shin bones. But at the same time, let's do a groin stretch too, and draw your knees towards the floor. Pulling up to the shin bones, but drawing the knees down towards the floor. I can feel that as a very big stretch. Good. Relax your shoulders, they're not elevated. All right, and then finally, cross-legged position. Do take a support underneath your hips if you know that it's a little rugged to sit up straight without that support. And leave your left hand onto your left knee. Bring your right arm up towards the ceiling. We'll do a little twist from this position and look around to the right side. Your right arm comes back slightly behind your shoulder. Lift your chin, look up at your thumb. Good. Bring that right hand back and rest it on top of the left hand and drop your chin down. And then do that big gesture of opening the arm out and rotating the spine at the same time. Look at your thumb. And exhale back. 2 hands, one on top of the other. And third time. And resting. And then switch the cross of your legs. If that's comfortable for you. Maybe one side is doesn't work so well. And right hand onto your right knee, left hand on the top of it. Good. You've already done a little rotation to that side. That's nice. Drop your chin. And then start to expand that arm out to the left side. Look at the arm as you bring it up and back. And then back to center and 2 hands together. Good. Feel the lung open up on that side as you extend the arm back. And big breath in. And then folding that arm in and chin drops. And lovely work. And extend out your legs. And then the yoga relaxation. So find your props that you like to use for this. It's a practice in self-care to have some support, probably a pillow like set up for the back of your head. An eye covering. So you might like the weight of a eye bag on your eyes, but on the other hand, you might just like a soft scarf over your eyes. And then the last accoutrement, it could be just a bolster underneath the backs of your knees. And do set yourself up so that you're not only comfortable but warm. And then once you've done everything that you can to feel that you're safe and secure and comfortable, quiet, then let yourself go. Yield your body weight to the floor, to the props. And feel into the back of your body. And yield to gravity. You're creating an approach now that's one of surrender, of softening. And stay with the sensations of letting go, so that you're not interrupted by thought activity. And perhaps even enhancing that feeling of letting go by extending the exhalation a little bit more. We say that the breath in this way is like an internal sigh of letting go. And of course now, there's nothing for you to do. Nobody that you have to be. You could stay a little longer if you like, if you have time to do that. It's really a lovely completion of the session. And if not, then at this point, maybe make a few small movements through your hands and your toes and your feet, the back of your head, your neck. And then as though you had all the time in the world, roll over onto one side. Take several more breaths there, taking your own sweet time. And then keep rolling over in that direction until you can support yourself with your hands and come upright. And seat yourself so that we can finish all together in that special gesture of yoga, joining the hands in front of the breastbone and feeling into your own kind energy. Now offering yourself that sign of respect that this gesture includes. And then thinking of the larger community. I've been told that this is Yoga Week, International Yoga Week. So think of that gigantic yoga community that we join with and send our kind respect out to everyone. Namaste. Thank you.